You're tuned into RBLR, the home of Tampa Bay's RBLR Sports.
4 seconds left. In front. Happy moment. The Tampa Bay Lightning have won the first Stanley Cup. And the Tampa Bay Lightning have won the Stanley Cup. Lightning strikes twice. The Tampa Bay Lightning win their second straight Stanley Cup.
Hello, everybody, and welcome back to RBLR Lightning. Hello? Oh, there was a hand pass. And all right, hang on. I'm sorry, I had to make a joke about it because there's a lot to get to in this week's episode, guys. Toronto was calling down, taking away our wins. A very frustrating week for the Bolts, guys, but we're here. We're here to break it all down. And the good news is, right after this show, we're going to get you right into the game for the Toronto Maple Leafs. Lightning taking on an Atlantic Division foe. Should be a lot of fun, and we can kind of just forget about this week right away. But first and foremost, guys, how you doing today?
This is a roller coaster of emotions because I feel, just talking hockey right off the bat, I feel like, our guys did so well, yet came up, without any points this past week. That's the only thing I've been thinking about and worrying about. I don't know.
Yeah, it was a tough week. I'm glad you could add some levity. That was a very good joke you brought in, Jake. Almost as good as your transitions for the shop. But, it's a tough week to talk about. But at the same time, these tough weeks make for good shows. So for better or worse, we're here with you guys this week.
Well, let's start off with some good news. By the way, welcome to everybody who's joining us with us live just before the Bolts game. Don't forget to drop your comments down below in the comment section. We'd love to hear what you guys have to say. We'll throw up on screen, so please join the conversation. If you're watching this later, make sure you follow us on social media so you don't miss out when we do go live. But let's start off with some good news here before we get into all the yucky stuff. Braden Point looks like he should hopefully be back in this game. He was out there on practice lines at the morning skate, so that's a good sign. Kucherov also back in his lines as well, so hopefully he should also be back in the lineup after missing a game. So some good news on the injury front there, although we did find out Vasilevsky has been placed on IR, so that's not as great. What's going on with that? I have no idea. It was supposed to be one game, and here we are 3 games later, and it just keeps getting longer and longer. Good news, though, by the way, for Vasi on IR is it's not from when he was placed on IR, it's from when he was actually hurt. So he only is going to miss at a minimum the next 2 games, it is, if I'm not mistaken. So there's a little bit of good news in that injury news. But a lot's going on for the Bolts here when it comes to injuries, guys.
Yeah, I'm hoping for just the Vazzy front of everything. That's you're at the maximum of your roster spots available right now, so you have to place him on IR with Braden Point coming back, him getting taken off the IR list. So it might just be a saving of a roster spot. I know at first it was kind of advertised as like a load management day. He gets the full day off, but now it is, looking like an actual injury. So hopefully it's nothing major and he's just taking these next couple of games off to just let it rest. And hopefully it's just a roster management issue right now and doesn't turn into anything any worse than that.
I mean, that's a good point. He played a hell of a game against the Islanders on what day was it? On Wednesday, I think. I kind of get the schedule confused. It was a Tuesday game. So I mean, he played well in that game. With them being so tight-lipped about injuries regarding Lightning players, it's really hard not to allow your imagination to wander and start to worry about what this possibly could be, especially with him being injured earlier in the season. So, definitely got me a little bit concerned here, even if it is for roster management. Them not really saying too much it definitely is worrisome.
It is weird. Listen, we've always known Cooper with his law background. He always loves to be the NHL in general is usually tight-lipped about when it comes to injuries. They really don't tell you much, but especially with this one, it's been really weird. I've seen some people frustrated with Cooper, though, and even the trainers, which I think is really weird. Listen, these guys know what they're doing. They're doing their jobs. We have some very, very good trainers that have been with us a very, very long time. But it's weird. You're right, because you don't know. And when you're told one thing, you're thinking, oh, okay, load management, just one day, whatever. And now he's at another day. Now he's on IR. And you're like, where is this going to end? And you start to go to those places. And I think it's also frustrating on top because we've lost 3 games in a row now. So that doesn't make anybody feel any better. But hopefully it is still something minor, just, taking a little bit longer than they had maybe expected. But we'll have to wait and see. Again, good news is we are getting some guys back here relatively soon. Hedman also came back this week, although he did not play a ton. But again, just getting guys back in the lineup. So that is the good news. All right, let's talk about these games. So, Joe, you kind of alluded to it. The game on Tuesday, Vasilevsky, who played so good when it comes to that game against the Islanders. Lightning lose it by a final score of 2-1. But a game, guys, that it felt like the Lightning actually played really, really good. I mean, look at the shots on goal, 31-24. Face-off percentage, the Lightning won that battle, which is does not happen often, 52%. So a lot of good things for the Bolts, but the Islanders are the ones scoring. As they say, they kind of just got goalied in this game. Credit to Sorokin, he played really good.
He played really well. I'm pulling up right now what his save percentage was against the Lightning. He was a .968. That's exceptional. And yeah, the Lightning, I felt like they really did drive a lot of the play. They got blanked on the power play again, which they held out the Islanders from scoring on their power play opportunities. So special teams was a little bit of a wash, but man, some of those saves, you would think that was going to be a once in a season sort of performance out of Sorokin, and that was one of those games that you lose and you kind of shake it off because it feels like the guys are doing all the right things, and you hope it's a one-off.
I thought it was shaping up to be kind of like that Oilers game of a couple weeks ago. You guys remember that, where you're getting shut out for 58 minutes and you get a really late one, and hope you can send it to overtime. But alas, it wasn't that. It was definitely a good game played by the Bolts, and yes, it was a good goalieing performance from Ilya Sorokin. Hopefully, we don't see more of that this week. But just a tough one. And, in a vacuum, you're like, okay, you know what? We lose this game. The streak's finally got to come to an end. It was a fun 10-game stretch or whatever it was. I think it was a 9-game winning streak like that. So I did say last week, it can't be fun forever. And so in a vacuum, it's a tough loss, but it's one you just kind of, let's move on to the next one. And then with the context of the rest of the week coming up, it hurts a little more. You got to give the Islanders a little bit of credit because they've been on a heater recently too. They, not just this game, but the next game they played, they knocked off the Avs from their crazy run, gave them their second regulation loss this entire season. So they've been playing pretty well these last couple of weeks as well, flying under the radar a little bit. But again, just a game you kind of throw your hands up and say, they tried. You wish the power play was a little bit better, but you got goalied. Unfortunately, again, like with the rest of the context of the rest of the week, it starts to sting a little more.
You guys know I've been a big hater when it comes to the power play, and even the power play had some good chances in this game for once, but Sorokin just made a ton of great saves, and that was even frustrating because you're like, even the power play looks pretty decent in this game, but they can't get it done. But I think you guys are absolutely right. Listen, you chalk that one up to, man, they've been playing really well. You're not going to win every single game. It is what it is. You try to move on to the next one. I want to get to a quick comment here from Lisa. She's jumping all in the conversation. Love to see it. They aren't playing bad at all. It's the calls that are hurting us. Well, we'll get to more of that, I'm sure. I'll get Joe wearing his number one you-know-what shirt from Nikita Kucherov. We'll get to that more in the second game because it wasn't too bad in the Islanders game. At least I didn't have a problem with any of those calls that I can remember. I don't know about you guys, but that is very true. Also, real quick, I want to jump back a little bit here. Lisa said they need to be a little more transparent with what's going on with the boys. That would be nice for the fans. I don't think they're going to do that. They're not really, they don't owe us anything, but it would be nice. I do agree with you on that. So, all right. Well, speaking of the calls, let's talk about this game. The Lightning take on the Pittsburgh Penguins back at Benchmark International Arena. So they get to come home, you get that loss out of the way, say, all right, let's get back into it. And boy, did this game get off to a really weird start. It felt like the Lightning dominated in that first period. They were playing really good, but again, they were getting goalied. And then the second period happened where the Penguins really took control of that game. They eventually go up 3-0 in this game, and you're feeling, oh no, this may be a runaway breakaway one. But then the Lightning come all the way back to tie this game at 3. Penguins get another one late. It's 4-3, and then it happens. Lightning tie the game. Nikita Kucherov with a beautiful shot. They're ready to drop the puck, and a phone call comes down from Toronto saying that, hey, there's a hand pass that needs to be reviewed. And they look at it. It's not a hand pass, but they call it one, and the goal is taken away. Lots of frustration from Lightning fans, from John Cooper. If you didn't see his comments after the game, basically in the nicest way possible, Cooper said, "What's on Joe's shirt?" So Cooper was much more clean and nice about it and actually explained it really well. But really, really frustrating because, listen, you guys know that I typically will often say, like, listen, you can't always blame the refs. Things you got to do, play your good game, and there's things that went wrong. But in this instance,
All right. So what has me more than anything is the fact that basically the same thing happened like 2 nights later with the Panthers. And correct me if I'm wrong, it was Bennett behind the net. Puck comes around and basically kind of bops him on the head, and he puts his hand up and hits it with his hand as it was coming around. And then the Panthers basically get that free hand pass and turn around and score a couple seconds later. And it went to review, and they determined that one was absolutely okay. Again, some of the perceived nepotism at its finest when it comes to officiating in the Panthers. And that makes it so much harder to swallow the call that affected the Lightning being able to tie it.
It was infuriating, watching the game. It was infuriating the day after, but you start to live with it, and you're like, it is what it is. Was it a hand pass? Maybe. I'm still not completely sold, but the rules are the rules until they're not the rules. When I watched that video, when I saw the Panthers goal allowed, which ended up being a pretty crucial goal in that game as well, it just reignited this pissed off nature that I have about this game. There's no consistency in the rules right now. And it's so funny that it always boils down to Tampa's getting shafted and Florida's benefiting from it in 2 completely separate games as well, which is the craziest part. How, one thing is one and another thing is another. It doesn't make any sense to me. I wish there was somebody to come out and explain what the difference between the 2 goals were, because to me they were essentially the exact same. It hits off one player's hand and his teammate picks it up, no goal. Hits off one player's hand and teammate picks it up, good goal. I wish somebody could explain it. Do you have an explanation, Jake?
Well, no, what I was going to say, that's the thing. The NHL can't even explain it because, they always put out these explanations when they have these reviews. They say absolutely nothing. They just regurgitate basically what the rule says. It doesn't explain anything, and it's infuriating because you're hoping, right, Matt, for some kind of explanation on this. Let me read you the rule on the hand pass. So if you don't know, here it is, 79.1 for hand pass. A player shall be permitted to stop or bat a puck in the air with his open hand or push it along the ice with his hand, and the play shall not be stopped unless, in the opinion of the on-ice officials, he has directed the puck to a teammate or has allowed his team to gain an advantage, and subsequently possession and control of the puck is obtained by a player of the offending team, either directly or deflected off any player or official. So here's the key word in this rule, right, that I think becomes the problem. And it's the fact that it says, in the opinion. This is not a clear-cut rule. It's like a goalie interference. It's an opinionated thing. But here's where my frustration comes in, and I'm sure for a lot of other fans. It says the opinion of the on-ice officials. There was a official staring, if you watch the replay, staring directly at Brandon Hagel. Watch this whole thing unfold. He actually ducked out of the way to make sure the puck didn't hit him, and he saw it standing right there. Didn't say anything. Never blew it dead. They were literally about to drop the puck. and Toronto, who's watching on screens, is the one that's calling this in. That's what really gets me about this call, is that it wasn't even like the official said, I don't know, we might want to talk about that. It did hit his hand. This was called in by Toronto later, even though official was standing right there. And come on, there was no clear advantage. The puck was sitting there for a minute. It was not a direct pass by any means. It was a reaction of Brandon Hagel to knock down that puck. And it wasn't like the goal happened immediately after. It was a couple of seconds later. That's something
like 15.
How much was it?
It was about 15 seconds later.
15 seconds. And we're calling that as
which is a lifetime when you consider that shifts are about 45. It's like a third of a shift that the play went on. And it's not the same as an offsides where you gained an advantage entering the zone, where you shouldn't have been in the zone in the first place. It was one of those, I think, a relatively inconsequential one, because it could have hit off of him and done the exact same thing if he hadn't had his hand there, if it hit his arm. It's not like it made the play, and it definitely wasn't directed intentionally. So that's where I think the on-ice officials didn't see it right then, or they did see it right then and didn't think that it was an intentional hand pass. How going to a video review would change their opinion on what they saw on the ice. It's crazy.
And as hard as it is, I really do try to be pretty bipartisan with my viewership. And I'm still not fully convinced it hit his glove. Like, even if it did, it was closer to the wrist or like the forearm area, like closer to the actual jersey than, the palm or finger part of his glove. So I'm still not fully convinced. And if it did hit the glove, unfortunately they got the call right, and it kills me to say that, but I still think it's a stupid call. This is primed to be just a rule change in the next season. I think there's going to be there should be some wording about intent or, protecting yourself, which again, you're allowed to bat the puck down out of the air, but it wasn't a clear, pass it to your teammate type of deal. It was to protect himself. It was so he did not get hit in the face with a piece of hard vulcanized rubber.
It's really, like it went into the net, where I can understand you waving it off because you directed it into the net. At the end of the day, though, that sometimes a call like this doesn't go your way, but the Lightning kind of put themselves in a bad position. That's due, especially on that goal, that the late goal that Malkin scored. We wouldn't be talking about this at all if it wasn't for the fact that was a tying goal where the Lightning had to come back from behind in this game.
And Cooper did echo those sentiments, John, where he talked about how, they didn't play great. They made some mistakes. Hagel even said that in his post-game interview, that it was his fault that I think it was the second goal he said.
Malkin breakaway.
That was on him, by the way. Great leadership by Brandon Hagel. Just that guy every day. I absolutely love his play and love what he says. You're laughing, Joe, but I really, really do. I love Brandon Hagel. I think if I was to buy a player jersey, it would no question be a Brandon Hagel one. But anyway.
Well, I was just waiting for the obligatory future captain comment. That's all.
I did say that immediately in our chat, that that's future captain Brandon Hagel to you guys. But yeah, Cooper said that and said, listen, at the end of the day, we got to play better. But again, it's like you said, Joe, it's not only frustrating that it was a tying goal, but also that, again, you felt like for not the second period, but majority of this game, the Lightning were playing very good, and they're again going to lose this game. So while, yes, there were some issues, overall, they're playing good, and now they've lost 2 in a row where it just felt like they got totally screwed. And that, I think, adds to the frustration. Quick stats, by the way, shots on goal for the Lightning in this game, 40. They had 40 and only scored 3. Face-off percentage, 45% to 54. Close. Lightning lost that battle. Power play, that power play is still a major issue. It was 1 for 6 in this game. That's not good at all. You can't have that. Power play is got to find a way to get better. I can't tell you what the answer is to fixing that thing, but that's a major issue. But yeah, so second period was tough. They played really good, and then they got screwed in that last goal. You're hoping they could at least get 1 point out of that game.
And 2 other things with this game. I think this is Kucherov's 3rd disallowed goal this year so far. It's not really the early stages of the season anymore, but still 3 disallowed goals now is kind of crazy.
It's 3 disallowed goals.
I know there was the one the same game where he did the call Toronto gesture. He had another one that was an offsides on an empty net.
He had two offsides goals called back. And so it honestly could even be 4.
I was going to say it might be 4 now.
It wouldn't shock me. They really love to take away Kucherov's accomplishments that he deserves. But and another thing too with Cooper's press conference, it was an all-time press conference. It was not funny, but it's just quintessential Cooper, exactly what you expect from him. But the comment about if I threw this microphone at you, would you put your hands up to protect yourself? Hell yeah, you would. I'm really, really shocked the NHL didn't fine him for inciting violence or something like that. You know how much they love to fine Cooper.
That's a good point. If you haven't seen the press conference, by the way, I recommend you go check it out. It is on the Bolt Reports page. I know that for sure. Jay Retcher was the one who asked the question. It's also on his page as well on Twitter. So if you want to go see the press conference, if you haven't seen it, you can go check it out there. But 2 tough games for the Bolts. You're frustrated. Again, overall, they've been playing better. So you're saying, okay, we got the Islanders again. Maybe we can get our revenge and get back on track. But Sorokin had other plans. Matt, you kind of joked about it earlier, said hopefully we don't see that again in the week. Well, we did. Lightning get shut out 2-0. This one in Tampa, by the way. One good news from this game, though, is Victor Hedman did make his return, played very limited minutes, did not play a lot, but was on the ice, so still just good to have your captain back. It's always really, really good to see that anytime you get back on the ice. But Lightning lose it 2-0. Shots on goal, 32-19. Face-offs, 57% in favor of the Bolts. Power play 0 for 2. The Islanders were 1 for 3, but just so many stats in the favor of the Bolts. They had so many great chances, but really this game was that they got goalied. What's going on over there with Joe? I'm totally distracted right now, but
Ethan called me out really hard last podcast, so I'm just having some fun with him.
I would love to see that. But yeah, so guys, they played great. They played a good game, but sometimes you can't beat a goalie.
I'm just so distracted by Joe's hat collection right now. I really do envy your collection.
Yeah. So going back to the game, it was the Lightning once again. Going back to the game, the Lightning once again had a really tough time against the goalie that was playing well, and also weren't really playing at full capacity, not having Kucherov for the game either, and. Right. This is where the goaltending or the ref thing really kind of set me off for the week, because that was a weird call against Hagel where the puck hitting him in his hand and then calling it a hand pass 15 seconds later. Then there was in the Islander game a legitimate high stick that was missed, but something I've never seen before is them go to a video replay to call a penalty after the fact like this. And maybe there's a precedent that I don't know about, but I can't remember them doing this. I mean, it's pretty much ever. And it was a legitimate penalty, a 4-minute minor for high sticking, but they complained from the Islander bench, and they reviewed it somehow and determined that it was a high stick well after the play. And it's crazy to me that these strange reviews are occurring, and it's happening against the Lightning.
Joe, you asked me to bring this comment up. I think you understand this more, but Daniel's saying can't blame the officials, never going to win arguing with the refs.
So last night I was playing in my over 35 men's league hockey game, which a bunch of old guys just going out there and doing their thing. I got my stick slashed in half in a play, and then kind of pushed the guy that did it to me, and I got 2 minutes for interference. I turned to the ref and I said, basically to the ref, and he gave me 10 minutes. He gave me a 10-minute misconduct for saying that, which put me out for the rest of the game. So yeah, Dan was there for that, so a little tongue-in-cheek saying you never win arguing with the refs. I got kicked out right in front of him, and thanks for the reminder on it, bud.
Dang, not only 12 minutes of penalties, but down $250 for a stick too. Oh boy. I don't even want to know.
Expensive sport. There's no question about that.
Man. But as far as this game actually goes, I mean, I was super heated about it as well. And Joe, you already said it. Was it a penalty? Yes, absolutely. But I've never seen them go back and call, we got another one. I've never seen them go back and call a penalty that they didn't see. The linesmen have the ability to blow the play dead, call a penalty if they didn't see it. They'll let the actual officials announce the penalty, but they have the ability to blow a play dead if they see a penalty like that. You are allowed to review a high stick penalty for it being a 2 or a 4 minute or nothing if there's a penalty called on the play. There was no penalty called on the play. They had to wait for a reaction from the bench. They had to blow the play dead after the Lightning already had the puck. It wasn't a delayed penalty or anything. They blew the play dead because they saw an injured player, because the Islanders bench was going crazy, and then decided to do something about it. First time that I can remember watching that happen in all of sports. It's if something happens in the NFL, if there's a flag on the play, but you wait until they're about to snap the ball for the very next play and you call pass interference. That doesn't happen. You call it on the play. If there is a foul, an infraction, something like that, you cannot retroactively go back and call something like that. You can do it for major penalties, I'm pretty sure. This is not a major penalty. It seems like they just kind of made rules up because they did miss it. I'm not going to lie. It was a 4 minute. It was a high sticking penalty, but they didn't call it. So it seems like they really bent the rules as hard as they could so they could make this call. It's a tough pill to swallow. Yes, again, it was a penalty. Should it have been? Yes. Was it called one? No. That's my biggest beef with this game.
So
I love that analysis. I mean, I'm right on there with you.
Funny enough, this one actually didn't bother me nearly as much as the Penguin situation, just because that it was a penalty. And I do agree. I don't think I've ever seen them review that late. That whole thing was weird. They clearly started to talk about it after the Islanders complained about it. I mean, I have seen them go to review for that kind of stuff before, just all right, let's go look at this play, or we're going to talk about it and then make a call and then maybe review it. But at the end of the day, it was a penalty. They technically got it right, which is what we kind of want sometimes. But I think just because it was a penalty, it didn't bother me nearly as much. Of course, the Islanders go and score on that ensuing power play, which was an even bigger dagger in this situation. But
that was
again,
the game-winning goal because the second goal was an empty net.
Yeah, game-winning goal. You're right, absolutely right. But for me, it was just getting goalied again and Sorokin playing fantastic. Because again, the Lightning, I don't think played bad. The deserved to win-o-meter, which I know is not everything, but it's always fun to look at.
It's always fun to look at.
It's always fun to look at. Yeah, it was in the favor of the Bolts in 2 out of these 3 games, both the Islanders games, funny enough. And it was really close in the Lightning Penguins game. But, these are the tough ones where the team, I think this was actually more frustrating than the start of the season. The start of the season, at least you knew, okay, we're not playing well. We're playing bad defense. We're not having good power play, whatever it was. These last 3 games, yeah, there's been a couple issues, but overall, they're playing like they should win. They at least get a point out of these games, and then you get nothing out of it. And those are the toughest ones.
I personally disagree. When it looks like there's no solution, you can't figure out what is wrong with the team because there's apparent deficiencies everywhere. That to me is a lot more frustrating because where do you even start to look? I mean, there's people calling for Cooper's head at some point. I mean, there's people saying that we should get rid of Lilleberg. The audacity.
How could they?
And I mean, this game is one of those classic Cooper moments where it's believe in the process, not the result. And they were buying into the process. They were playing their game for the majority of it and just didn't quite get the result, but they're still doing the right things. Just weren't rewarded for this particular streak. It's like flipping a coin, right? Any given time you have 50-50 chances. Eventually you're going to get hit heads 3 times in a row if you play enough. And that's just kind of the way that these 3 games went. Let's say it went tails, bottoms up for them for these 3, but The only thing that concerns me is having Vasi out because I don't think that JJ really can play for, to cover the Lightning for an extended stretch. He's played well. He had not a great save percentage against Pittsburgh, but he also got hung out to dry for both Malkin goals. So I don't know. I mean, you can, these are a little bit easier, I think, to swallow than when you see guys taking complete shifts off, complete periods off, like we saw at the beginning of the season.
I think I'm not mad at the team. Like earlier in the season, I'm mad at the team. I'm mad at everybody, on the Lightning because, I know they're better than this. I know they can change it. And, they were just not playing to potential. But I'm more frustrated with these, the Pittsburgh and the second Islanders game because, there's something tangible. There's actually something that happened in the game. It's poor officiating. I can direct I can direct my anger elsewhere, and it's not just I wish they could do better or something like that. There's something that actually a finite, tangible action that happened in the game that I can point my finger at and say, this is kind of what happened. So that's a little bit harder for me to swallow.
I'll tell you what's making me deal with these losses better is Joe's changing hats. By the way, Ethan's loving it. He said hat collection, which was great. And then honestly, the last one, love that. That's galore.
Since we're on the topic, I want to point out what Ethan was saying. At some point within the last, I think it was like last season, the Lightning's hats all say Lightning on the back brim of them. And I usually wear it backwards, mostly for lighting, just because it's kind of keeps the hat out of my face a little bit. And with my hair, sometimes it's a little bit preferable. But so this is a blackout tonight, so it's a little bit older. But that last one was gray. This one's black. Still says Lightning.
Jeez.
They really do. I never noticed this.
Yeah, so it looks like it's always the exact same hat, but he roasted me last time, so I just wanted to bring some fun.
Have you ever been present for a hat trick at the arena? Because I really don't believe you have.
I have twice, and one of them was on a free hat night, which was insane.
Oh, you always gotta love that. By the way, Cynthia asked, where can we get this merchandise? Well, Joe's hat specifically, you're going to have to go to TampaBayLightning.com to check them out. But I do know a place where you can get some other great merchandise for Lightning-inspired merch, and that, of course, is shop.rblrsports.com. And you guys can use code BOLTS to get 10% off your order as well. Not just Lightning, Bucks, Rays, Rowdies, you name it. We got it in the Tampa Bay area, team-inspired merch. Links, as always, are in the description below, so be sure to go check that out. And don't forget to use code BOLTS to get 10% off your order as well. So thank you for asking. It was an easy transition for me today. I'm not much of a hat guy. I've got a decent amount of Lightning hats though, but I'll tell you what, I will be buying a Gasparilla merch hat when those, well, actually, let me correct myself, a Stadium Series hat. I'm hoping it's a Gasparilla theme still. I know that for sure. So
when are we going to get that? When are we going to get the drop on the?
It's got to be soon. So we've had a commercial. For those that don't know, they did just send out some things for getting press passes for media members. So that's come out. So they're definitely getting closer. They're starting to push out more information. But it is weird because it's how much longer do we have? I mean, it's like a
February 1st. So
it's
I know.
They
released the Panthers and Rangers kits, a couple weeks ago, no more than 3 weeks ago. So you got to imagine, if you're, I think exactly a month behind. I think the Winter Classic's always January 1st. So this will be February 1st. I'd maybe imagine it's probably on the same sort of schedule. So maybe in the next week or two, we'll probably finally get it.
It's got to be.
Yeah, it's got to be before Christmas, right?
I would hope so. That'd be smart.
You would think. But then again, the NHL is not the smartest league. We all know that. So Who knows? But hopefully soon. I know I'm excited for it. And every time I get that little bit of information, I just get so amped up. I'm ready to go.
And Jake, if neither you or Michael can, make it to that game, just, I will go on behalf of the Bolt Report. I will represent you guys well.
If you think I'm not going to be at that, you
well, you can go as a fan. I just don't want to pay for it. I'll take the press pass.
Whether it's through the media or as a fan, I will be at that game. There is no question about it. So, well, 3 games for the Bolts, 3 losses, lots of frustration because of how well that this team played. By the way, Joe, you kind of talked about it with blanking on his name right now, our goaltender. Johansson, thank you. Jeez, I've been having a problem with names this week, guys. It's not good. But Johansson, he has played well. I've been really impressed with him this year overall. He's been really, really good. He stepped up so far. We'll see how he handles this extended role depending on how long Vasilevsky is out. I'm still hoping that's not a long-term issue. It's only going to be these couple of games, but only time will tell. I've been happy with him, though, and I think he can do it.
He was a .944 against the Islanders. I mean, he did have a pretty good game despite giving up the 1 goal that that ended up burning the team. But he has played well. It's just against Pittsburgh, someone a little bit higher, higher offense. He led in the 4. But again, I don't know that was necessarily on him. I just wonder about how long he can keep up that sort of level, because this season's, I think, probably his best season for the Lightning thus far.
Definitely. It's a fair question. There's no question it's a fair question. Hopefully we won't have to answer it, and Vassy will come back and we get back to a regular routine. But let's talk about 3 stars of the week, guys. This was a tough one to pick out 3 stars, not because guys didn't play well, but when you look at the stats, just because of what happened in these games and getting goalied, there wasn't much to go off of. So we did come up with 3 stars, though, for you guys. Let us know in the comments down below, as always, what you guys think. We'd always love to hear what you guys have to say. But here we go, 3 stars of the week. Starting with our number 3 star. I'm actually really excited about this one because this is a guy that's hustled a lot. He's always playing hard. He's been up and down. Really kind of found himself a spot in the lineup right now, and that is Gage Gonsalves. He gets the number 3 star of the week. He was solid for the Bulls.
Looks like you don't want to go, Joe. This was a hard week to really pick out guys. And like you said, Jake, nobody really played bad. But no, Gage, he's really starting to find his footing, kind of pick up where he was last year, in the late half of last year. Again, just a really smart defensive player. Like, he's not going to put up super great points, and he's not going to be, Barkov or Bergeron or anything like that. But just a smart player, and, to end up positive after this week. I know none of these games are really blowouts, but if you lose all 3 games, it's really hard to stay a plus, and him being a plus and getting an assist, I'll take that all the time. And he's coming off a really strong week last week or 2 weeks ago as well, where he's really started to pick it up. So good for him. I'm glad he's starting to find his footing again.
Yeah, and I'll say that, he's my biggest criticism of him is that he's offensively hasn't done too much, and the defensive side of his game's actually been, fairly decent. So in a week where, the Lightning didn't really do, go over the top offensively here, what was it, 4 goals in 3 games, to get at least an assist and be, +1 and dead even on the Islanders game. That's pretty good for him, and showing that he is still out there grinding.
I got an assist and was a positive plus-minus. I can't ask for much more than that in a week like this. So he gets the 3rd star of the week. All right, let's go to the number 2 star of the week. This is a guy who, kind of feels like, remember I always say that. I say this all the time. There's always that one guy that kind of jumps out of nowhere for the Lightning from usually from Syracuse that really takes over, can help the Lightning win games. Ross Colton was that guy one year. One year it was our defenseman that kind of came up late. There's always been that one. And this year, it's really been Dominic James who gets the number 2 star of the week. He has a goal this week for the Bolts, so he was 1 point and was a +1. So good stuff from Dominic James. He earns the number 2 star of the week.
He's been looking really good, really dynamic. You'll see it every now and then. He'll get into a position where you kind of hold your breath because you hope he doesn't get lit up to the point of getting injured again. But there's so much potential upside with this kid. It's been really fun to watch and exciting to see. And there's no doubt that he's going to be someone that I think is going to be on the Lightning for a long time. And we're really starting to see every game him improve with his just with his creative ability because he's getting more comfortable on the ice.
Yeah, if there's one word that I can attribute to Dominic James, it's just tantalizing. You see the talent is there. You see the effort is there as well. I just wish he could put a couple more things together. Like sometimes he'll bobble a pass or can't really quite, get a pass off. But, man, the skating is there. The effort's there. The hustle is there. And he's a bit of a bastard to play against too. Like he's, for being a smaller guy, like he's no stranger to mucking it up. I know he was in that Islanders game, 2 days ago, sorry. And this is a guy, coming off a face injury too, not really worrying about getting popped in the face or anything. So just he's got all the tools and all the pieces you want. I just hope he can start putting it together, but even still, a clutch goal in that Islanders game, that Islanders loss, at least, he got us on the board. Just, man, he's going to be something special. Might not be a superstar, but he's a guy that's probably going to keep his spot, especially if he can start getting a couple more goals and assists.
The fact that he just hustles and he's always out there having a lot of chances, really a lot of them haven't gone in for him. He's kind of been snake bitten a little bit. But that's what impresses me the most of Dominic James is he's out there trying his hardest every single night. Love that out of a young guy like him. So he gets number 2.
There's a good comment from Lisa in there.
Lisa said James has a point like play. Yeah, that is a really good point. Too many points. Braden Point, who's just a fast, quick hustler, and Dominic James has been very similar to that. Yeah, very, very, very good point. All right, let's go to the number 1 star of the week. This is a guy who just recently came back not too long ago, and boy, can he do it all. It's Nick Paul who gets the first star of the week. Again, offense, not much going on, but Paul 2 assists and was a +1 on the week, so got some offense, was solid defensively, so he earned the number 1 star of the week for us guys.
Had a couple big face-off wins as well. Like, I know we kind of lost most of the battles this week, but he was a guy that, was confidently being put out there in these crucial situations, D-zone draws or late in the game. He was a guy being put out there. Also got a little bit of power play time too, with Kucherov being out. Not much to show for it, but he's a guy, he's your Swiss Army knife. You used to say that about Brandon Hagel or, Hagel has kind of exceeded those expectations. The joke, the moniker, Nick Paul does it all. He really can. He's not much of a penalty killer or anything, but he's also, smart responsibly and just kind of does everything quietly and good. I'm glad to have him back because he was maybe not the missing piece, but a very much needed piece in the lineup, and everything just seems a little bit more normal with him back. He was well missed.
Yeah, and I think that the goal against was that empty netter that he had in the Islanders game because he was a -1. Otherwise, he would have been, +2 in these past 3 games. And you're right, when his physical ability is just different from a lot of the other guys, and he has a heck of a shot when he's able to release it. The fact that he's got 6 points in 9 games and he's not playing on the power play is a great way for him to come back after being injured at the beginning of the season. So having a week like this where it was, a struggle for a lot of the guys and him eating up quite a few minutes, honestly. I mean, 17 and a half minutes in the Pittsburgh game, almost 18 minutes in the Islander game. So he's out there on the ice a lot, which means that plus minus means that much more, because of how tight these games are. And he had a wonderful week.
Nick Paul's just the perfect middle sixer. Like, there's no other way to put it. He's just the perfect, 2-3 guy.
Maybe he shows up big tonight against one of his favorite teams to play against, the Toronto Maple Leafs. The Bolts could really use him to get back in that win column. Beverly here, real quick, by the way, says, I think Radish should be mentioned too for one of the stars of the week. We didn't put him on, but yeah, Radish, listen, like we said, everybody really played well. There wasn't anybody that really played bad this week. But Radish, who played in 3 games, 2 assists, by the way, for 2 points. He was a -1. But, overall, yeah, very good stuff from Radish as well. So there you have it. 3 stars of the week for the Bolts. So we have it Gonsalves, Dominic James, and Nick Paul. Let us know down in the comments below. As always, do you agree? Do you disagree? Who did we leave off that should have been there? We'd love to hear what you guys have to think. All right. Looking ahead here for the Lightning, of course, we have the game tonight. We'll talk about the Lightning taking on the Toronto Maple Leafs in the Atlantic Division Showdown at 7:30 p.m. Eastern Time. Really, let's be honest, more like 7:40 by the time that puck actually drops. Then this is the first half of back-to-back where the Lightning are going to take on the Montreal Canadiens. I would expect, who is it that's been called up? Halverson,
yeah.
Probably get the start in that Canadiens game because I believe since Vasi was put on IR, that guarantees he's going to be out for that game. So expect Halverson in net for that one. Or tonight, maybe even, although I think Johansson would start the game against the Leafs. Then on Thursday, the Lightning will take on the New Jersey Devils at 7 o'clock. And on Saturday, they're playing the New York Islanders. They've played them 3 times in this last 2 weeks. It's crazy. Can we finally get past Sorokin in that game? By the way, that one at 3:30 p.m. Eastern on Saturday. So there's your schedule to look ahead. This is the start of a 4-game road trip here for the Bolts as they try to get back in the win column, guys.
We should probably go ahead and talk about the Monday night game as well because I have a feeling we'll push the podcast to Tuesday.
That is correct. So, Panthers, Lightning. That's a big one back at Benchmark International Arena at 7 p.m. Eastern.
I'm not going to lie. This schedule just kind of sucks. So you start off, I'm not going to say easily against Toronto because even though they haven't been winning games, it's never going to be an easy game against them with, some of the rivalry that we built up in the playoffs over the years. But then Montreal is actually playing pretty well. In the standings, let me go to conference rather than division. They're 9th in the conference, but they're in 3rd in the division. So they've been playing well. And again, so it's a back-to-back for the Lightning. So, it's more travel, more stress. Then you go to play the Devils, who has been fighting for the lead in the East for a while until they started dropping off. I think that may have been when, basically when our streak started picking up, that they've lost 5 in a row. So I wouldn't be surprised if they start turning things around themselves. Then we got to play the Islanders again. And then after that, that's still on a road trip. And then we got the Panthers as soon as we get back home. So this is going to be a tough stretch, I think, for the Bolts. And sometimes, they really rise to the occasion when you have these harder games. You see a little bit more out of the guys. So I'm hoping for a positive result, over 500 for them. But this is going to be an intense week, not going to lie.
And it seems like the theme of this past week was, getting goal lead and hard to score goals. The good thing about this coming week is a lot of these teams have had pretty big issues keeping the puck out of their net. The Leafs, the Canadiens, both of them have had some goaltending struggles. The Leafs actually, I think they're on like a 4 or 5 game winning streak right now, and the Canadiens are really starting to dip off as well. They're both kind of swapping positions right now. So hopefully you can take advantage of both of them, maybe put an end to that streak and maybe keep the Canadiens on the way down. That'd be great. And the Devils as well. Their goaltending has not been favorable for them. Hopefully you can at least, get past those guys and build some confidence back in the goal scoring department. And maybe if you have to meet Ilya Sorokin again, man, he's going to haunt me. I guess we kind of deserve it for those back-to-back Vasi, great performances in the conference finals, but hopefully you can carry some of that mojo if you gain any at all and face the Islanders. And even the Panthers, they have not had a great time keeping the puck out of the net either. Big games, all of these games this week because, 3 Atlantic Division opponents. We might be jumping a little ahead with the Panthers game. Are we going to do Tuesday? Because I feel like we probably should keep that game pretty fresh in our repertoire if things go awry. But this is probably the biggest week of the year so far because you've fallen down the standings a little bit, at least, given up 6 possible points while, the Panthers and the Leafs have, gained a couple points on you as well. So if we can shove all these teams back down, specifically the Leafs and the Panthers, that would be a huge win this week. We need to gain some more points in the standings quick.
Yeah, well, the good news is Lightning are still sitting in a very decent spot because of their great win streak that they had. So they've been able to put themselves in a decent spot even with this tough stretch coming up. For me, keep playing the way you've been playing. They've been playing good. I have to think wins are going to come at some point. It's really rare to play as good as they have been and go on a long losing streak. That's not the normal. It could happen. You never know. Unfortunately, that's one thing we love about sports. You just don't know every single time you step out on the ice. By the way, quick comment here from Lisa saying we have to win this game tonight. Lisa, it does feel like that, doesn't it? You don't want to go on a 4-game losing streak, especially if they continue to play well. And it is against Toronto too as well. So that's a big deal. Also, Lisa said that's when Kachuk will be back as well. Oh, is it really? I didn't realize that.
I think she's saying kind of tongue in cheek. Watch, that'll be when.
Oh, I see. My apologies. I misunderstood that, but yeah, you're probably right. There's one player they're trying to get back, but whatever. No one cares about the Panthers. So big game for the Bolts tonight here against the Toronto Maple Leafs coming up in 30 minutes. So with that said, guys, I think we're going to wrap up here so everybody can get ready for the Bolts and Leafs, big game in the Atlantic Division Showdown. We will break it all down next week. Unknown on when we're going to have the show, but make sure you follow us on social media at RBLR Sports, at RBLR Lightning, so you do know when we do go live. You can ring the bell if you're on YouTube for notifications, so you also get notified when we do go live. So, guys, that's going to do it for this episode. Thank you so much, everybody, for tuning in, and we'll see you guys in the next one. Go Bolts!
Thank you for tuning into this presentation by RBLR Sports. On your way out of the stadium, please remember to like and subscribe.